We're refocusing the stream on game dev a little bit more than we normally are. Here's a couple of projects I'm working on: Starfighter General, Crystal Fighter / Battlemon, Throne and Crown is out, Crystal Fighter. And you're like, so I'll go through them. The first one I'm working on right now, this is my main one, trying to kick it out the door. It's a massive multiplayer online computer game. Today we're going to be coding in DOTS, so you know what you're going to get into. I'm going to show you how to make waypoints on your entities. Assuming you have entities, you know, this is not exactly maybe like your best one. I'm going to do a general purpose DOTS ECS thing called design patterns and proper design patterns and DOTS ECS. I better just write that down if I'm going to tell you. So I remember what it's called. This upcoming video, proper design patterns in unities dot units unities dot CCS. So that's the upcoming one. That's gonna like make it so you can take all your old games, every single game you have in basically every single game you've ever made in GameObject Unity land and do it in any land. Basically, what it does is it takes your player controller and just sticks it into like entities. You have to recode all your enemies and everything, which won't be that hard. I mean, well, compared to like not knowing what you're doing in DOTS, like all us not knowing what we're doing at first, researching and everything, and how they're doing it is tough. But I'll get you going. I'll make it real easy for you. I mean, if you're an advanced coder or average, you'll be able to get past it. So I'm gonna get back to coding. So like I said, let's get to what we need. So like I said, we're gonna be doing follow waypoints and drones. So I have to find out. Like the funny thing is, when you do your coding, you have to actually remember where you put your code in. So I'm googling where waypoints are. So it's dots ordinary dots drone out. Here we go. So this is not the actually doesn't follow those waypoints properly. What happened? I tried to do these waypoint thing here. Here's the old version of waypoints, right? I'll go do it. I'll put here and I'll, so what happens? I figured, well, if I have your current waypoint and I have this array here, which is a drone data array, and I have this thing here, which is a float through buffer element, then I'll be okay. But I think what happens is well, let's just test it out. I think that's the thing. Proper thing is a buffer element, right? But like what I think what happens here is that like they all get shared over the same. They get shared over the same drone. So it's a let's look for DE. I'm trying to like oh, this ordinary. That's my ordinance AI. So that's a native array drone data entity, and what happens is where do they get the DED part? Carry the mob drones. Drone data. Carry waypoint. What's debida? Debida. So like I said, you have to figure. Like I'm just going through float 3 buffer element. So native array float 3 buffer element. Data debo. I don't see how this would work. Probably that's why it was not working. Let you know what we can do. We can just spam it. We'll go Unity engine. When you're in a for loop, you have to do you have to type Unity engine before it, or maybe it's just this. I think it's what is it? And when you're system, you have to do Unity engine because it's like it's doing the like whatever it's like. Engine, they get debug, you do log, and I'm just gonna log like XYZ. And we'll just see if it all was like similar in waypoint in this. It's gonna be the rough debug because like you know it'll be rough because like when you're in like burst land, like stuff can run at the same time. I'm just getting used to like craziness of burst, right? Like what happens is like it might be the same. Like before another one processes, you might have snow. Before one processes, two might process at once. Or so. It's just weird. Just trust me. Like like what happens is you might I'll tell you how it is. Like they won't process twice at the same time, but like when there's like 15, like if you have 100 entities, they're all like going down this in parallel, right? So this one might be like this line might run before this one, but then that one line over here runs before that, and you're getting like you won't get them in order like you think. Like you normally like when you index arrays 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. This one will just come at like 3, 5, 9, 4, 3. You don't even know, it's just random, and it just goes through it as fast as possible. That's what burst does, parallel processing. So we are going to debug, and I don't know if this is going to be even valid information, but let's just run it down. Okay. And I have my Constantine file. This is my constant. You just public constables and stuff. And you can turn your debug on and off in case you wanted to do that. And that's what I want to do. When my debug's on, my dots mode is in. When debug is off, it's GameObject. You can switch between GameObject and dots ECS during play. It's very what's how you say versatile. Smell. Oh, wow. I want to go get Joe. Versatile. And when I'm compiling, versatile. Anyway, when I'm compiling, compile. When I compile, compile. When I compile, I do exercises because I don't want to be, I don't want to get fat, or I don't want to be out of shape. If for some reason it has this really like long like chug right here, I should probably like figure out what the heck. Script. Reference script is missing, etc. So here's my guys, here's my elements. They're coming in, they're lasering. Make it big. So you see how they're just all like coming in the middle. They're like, yeah, let's all go to the middle and just shoot everything. There's me going. Anyway, I should probably navigate my ship so I can watch what's doing. So I explain what's going on. Oh my God, they're already beating me up. They want like so. Actually, what they're doing is coming in the middle. Okay. And if there's a player in range, they'll target, right? What's funny is like I'll tell you how my AI works actually, just so you have a general idea how to do dots. Like normally in I can't get out. They got me. I'll take my collision off. But normally in say like I mean this is good for even like game object people like how you want to do your AI. You don't have them like track your player everything. Like if you're gonna search for your player and do like calculate squares and see how far he is and et cetera, every frame that's dumb, right? So what you do is you calculate it either like a randomness, like 1 in 1,000 or something, or 1 in 20 for a new thing, a new target, or you just like cycle through like a counter, you know, +1, +1, +1, +1. Oh, it's a 300. Do it right. And then what you do is then you do the squares. Is the player within my range? No. Okay, then don't worry about it because you don't have to check the range every time. Because like if your player's over here, he's not in range, not in range, not in range. He's gonna be not in range like 99% of the time, you know. Then he in range and boom, you forget it. So then you occasionally retarget stuff, you know. So that's how that goes. What I was doing? There's something I'm doing. What are we doing? Oh, I need to talk about my collision detection on. That's simple as that. So I just take my physics. I think it's physics. I think it's either physics shape or physics body. Convex raise collision. Oh, here we go. Just change this so it's easier. Raise trigger events. Just raise trigger events. That's fine. Whatever. And we'll launch again. I should be maximize the play. So we're gonna. I'm just gonna fly through and tell you what my drones are doing right now, and we're gonna go. We're trying to launch this MMO out as soon as possible. It's very simple. I made this mobile. I made a MOBA. Like no lie. I didn't know how to use Unity at all. You know, Unity. This is how easy Unity is to use. I never used Unity before in my life. I was this experienced programmer, and I got this mobile in like 2 weeks. You know, you go out. You'll see what it is. But basically, there's like destroyers you blow up in the middle with towers. It's based on League of Legends, basically, like it, or like the Defense of the Ancients, etc., etc. But I'm coming down here, kind of slowly, and you see they're all just coming to the 0 point. That's the origin right there. See, it's mirrored. There's some over there, and then an object is to blow up the other guy's nexus, right? And there's guys in your way, and there's like what is it else in the way? Destroyers in the way, and obviously the players. I'm a player. Look at me, I'm a player. But they're trying to shoot me, but they can't because I'm just. It's alright. Can't shoot me. I'm incorporeal. But anyway, all the enemy things are shooting. I think I'm red side, so the blue ones are all trying to get a hold of me. So I have probably blue ones like roaming around me like creepers. The red ones are trying to get on the blue ones. But anyway, like I said, long story short, they're not retargeting everything. What is it like? That's not. I get up like whenever like live compile. Like see, this is not bad. Like for frames per second 15, get below 12, you're bad. But like the actual game when it's like a fully compiled for like the other blue ones are being creepers. The red ones are just being creepers on the blue ones, and so. But like after compile, I got 9,000 entities with artificial intelligence. You know, 9,000, over 9,000, and it's 60 frames per second on live compile. So this is showing you what you're doing. Like, so what happens is we're gonna have the destroyers in the base. Let's see if I can find the destroyers. Did I bring them in here? It'll be hard to find the destroyers. Let's get out here. Let's get out here. So I'm gonna like try and see what I have. I'm gonna try and get the mapping, set up the MOBA, and explain what we're doing again a little bit better. Oh yeah, it's compiling exercise. Okay, so let's see if I'm trying to see if the destroyer's around. Yeah, there's a destroyer. Okay, I'll go fly to it. So there's one out here. There's probably one right here then. There's one right there. Look for all the destroyers. There's one right there. Should be one in the middle too. Where's the one in the middle? Dun, dun, dun. Okay, zooming out. Maybe I'm not zooming out. I'm going. I don't see it. Okay, so I'm just gonna look at what map is loaded right now, because I'm not really sure. I'm just coming back to this after a little bit. I had like bug. You know how you get like bug spirals? When you move forward, but there's a bug pulling your leg back. If you don't get that, you'll just be dragging along. Eventually, you have so many bugs, you're like, ugh. You know, it's good to kill bugs as you get along. So not dragging your legs, not getting bugs, interacting with bugs. So we're gonna have to figure out what loads. So I think we're looking for a scene. Scene unload. MOBA scene. Here we go. No, wrong. Okay. Run up there. Scene unload. Scene. Here it is. Carry. Scene ID. Unload all. Okay. Entity query. Scene ID. Scene data. Scenery. MOBA board. It should be a MOBA board. Or maybe system. New MOBA. Okay, so it's new MOBA. So we have to load up new MOBA. New MOBA. Listen to the king of the surf guitar. Listen to the king of the surf guitar. Listen to the. There's no camera. What if I just knew? Oh, I need to add the scene. Windows. Else. See what's there. Destroyer mid there. Okay, okay. So here's this one here. There's a destroyer there. Okay, there's a destroyer there, okay. You know what? Let's make the destroyers bigger so they're easy to see. No. Destroyer mid left. Scale. We'll go with the scale. I guess 6 by 10. 10. That wouldn't be too crazy. That would look crazy. Look like capital ships, yeah. Capital ships, yeah. So you see how it's like laid out like towers. There's 3 lanes. Oops. And then like what I want to do is the drones. Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna set the drones up waypoints, and the drones are gonna go from here. Let's spawn a 5. Go here every 30 seconds. 5 go here. They go out to their allied destroyer. Then boom, they fight this one. Destroyer pops them in like 2 hits, right? But while it's popping it, you can swing it and shoot it. And if you try and just run up to the destroyer and shoot it yourself, it will blow you up really hard. Unless you have really good evasive maneuvers. Like you know how to play X-wing versus TIE fighter. There's an evasive maneuver that's really good. I'll be right back in about 2 seconds. Grab something real fast. And then like it'll be almost symmetrical going down the middle, going down the other side. Close my door about. Don't lose heat. Alright, so this is such a professionally well done league video. Anyway, it's not even a league video, it's a coding video. So okay, these spawn here, go here, here. If they blow this up, then they go to here, blow that up, and they'll start going around and start taking out the shields. Once the shields are taken out, then you can blow up the nexus, right? Guys in the front come down, boom, 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 boom. Guys on the left. So then these guys like vice versa. So we need waypoints. This guy will need this waypoint. That's 1. Need this waypoint. That's 2. This waypoint 3. And then I don't know how they're gonna blow the shields up. But we need at least 3 waypoints. From top this way. Second waypoint this way. 1 waypoint this one to this here. 1 waypoint these guys to this there. That's 3. 1 way goes this guy, and then the enemy going this way. So that's six sets of waypoints, each of which have a set of 3 initially. And I will be saving the scene, and I'll see if I can find out. I wasn't able to very much find this, these middle guys. So let's open up our old scene, which is this 4055, aka 43, aka set hut. Okay, okay, we go 456. We're gonna get going. Let's see, during compile, get up and exercise. That's what we do. We exercise when we compile. Compile. Ho. Listen to the game. And what we're doing right now is we're trying to see. Okay, so we see. I wanted to try to see if I can see where the location of the thing. Okay, so you actually can see on the scene. Where am I? Look at my. Okay. There's one there. There's one there. Oh, there we go. There we go. So there's one there, one there. That looks much better. They're a nice size there. Let's come down here. I'm gonna try and just strafe it. I need to get myself my speed. I'm barely going anywhere. Am I going at all? Let's see if I'm moving. I might just be deceiving myself when I think I can move it. Am I moving at all? I can't tell if I'm moving. Look at the screen. Yeah, I think my movement's disabled, right? Alright, let's fix that up. Controls. Physics velocity. Okay, and you'll give you like a glimpse of where we're how your guy moves. So so I think what happened was I'm just trying to track. It's like when you're playing this, you have to contract where like your old code was. So here, remember this. I think my debug code on here. Oh, I think my debug super is on. It like debug. Okay. Physics. Oh, what's it? Wait, there's a component. Like there's a physics component that holds the physics ID. I need to find for each. Let's just rotation, translation, physics velocity. Oh, that's PV. I'm trying to find out where I set the velocity. So this will be the secret, okay? You'll be able to crack the code. Do you have an old player controller in an old game, right? You have your old game. I'm going to tell you the secret right now. This is not the easy way of doing. This is not the easy way, but I'm going to tell you a really, really big, major secret, okay? You never want to code twice, same function twice. If you're coding like this really complex function, and you're like, well, I have to code this exact same complex function somewhere else. You're like, well, all I have to do is copy paste, right? But then you modify one, and the other one's still the same. Okay, if you're changing data and you expect it to be that, you can like destroy your data, corrupt data, compromise stuff, and it's also a pain just to copy into both places. So you always want to just have one function that does both, right? But we're like in DOTS ECS, and you're like, how do I make one function where the player can control them? And one player is like a game object, and when I use it in another level, he's an entity. I have to recode it, and every time I change it, I have to change it in both places. It gets really crazy, and I have to debug, and it doesn't work in this, and then it works in that. And what am I going to do, right? If you do it any other way than I'm going to tell you right now, you're not going to be able to turn your old game object game into a DOTS entity game and still be sane afterwards for some degree of sane, you know. What you got to do, it's as simple as this. You throw away all your enemy code. I mean, like you keep your old game, right? You have what started. I don't want to say any games, but like you have your old game. It's like a clone of Doom or something, you know. And you guys run around. It's really cool, but you want to have like more like things to shoot at, like more melee guys running at you. So like when you do Carnage, there's everything going at you, and there's stuff going. You know, you want more. You just want more, right? But you don't want to throw away your old game because you freaking coded it for like 1,000 hours, right? And like Don't get me wrong. There's a time and place to port stuff, but generally that time and place is not unless you made a bunch of money already. So like if you have your old game, right? You have your old game. You have your old game, and you want to like just make Doom. You make your old Doom into dots, or your old Doom alike and the dots alike. What you gotta do, check it out, my functional brothers. You got to know when to code them. No, you gotta like just. Only thing you keep in your old game is your player controller. Okay, I'll explain why. Your player controller just needs to like have a way of mimicking. You have to find a way of having uh, uh, an entity. You have to have a way of having an entity just like follow your player around, right? You'll turn your player controller like uh, rendering off. You won't render your player object anymore, but and for all intents and purposes, your player object's still there, right? And then what you're doing is the entity then has to like take that position, right? I mean, don't get me wrong. You still have to like when you go in the physics engine. If you're forcing position, it's going to mess the physics engine up, right? But what you're basically going to do is have the code in the game like kind of follow both each other. It's like almost like an ebb and flow in the thing. Like in the most simplistic way, though. Before we get into complicated ways of explaining what is going on here and why this is the best way of doing it, let's just imagine. You have a game object, right? You have a Doom guy. He's at XY position. He's there. He's XY position. He's shooting XY position. Okay, everything works. It's cool. It's a first-person shooter, right? Okay. Now, when you want to do entities, it's like you have velocity, position, everything, and like you have to like. I wasn't even trying to build it. What are you talking about? Just get out of here, dude. Whatever. It got away from me. But what the heck is this? I'm going to go back to my analogy here in a second once I reload the thing. Because I'm explaining where we're going and what code I'm touching here because it's really important. This is the most important thing I can tell you in DOTS ECS by far. Most important thing by far. I'm just going to make it simple though later and encapsulate all these complex things. But so you only want to code. You only want to code. You think once. So I have this really big controller. Look how big my controls is. Like this is like how many pages? That's like look 6,300 lines of code. Some commented out. I like to leave commented stuff out around in case, and it's like stuff I might want to alternatively get to and stuff. But you see 6,000 lines of code. You don't want to do that again. And let's say you're gonna work on your game for the next 5 years. You don't want to like keep copying the code from both places. It'll slow your development down. You need to have it in one situation. Okay. So the simplest form I was explaining before. Just to get it running, like this, I'm just telling you, want to just get running, and just have the entity XY position. Just copy your just straight up copy your game object position. Then you're just rendering, you're rendering like you'll be rendering an entity. It's exactly as your player controller, and you're controlling it just like you did normally. Like you left like XYZ, WSADL or whatever, and like arrow keys and control shoots and everything's all hunky dory, right? Of course, it won't shoot an entity. It'll be shooting thing, but just generally, just to get your player moving around, all you do is the simplest form is just slap your entity onto it, right? You copy the position, you copy the rotational parameters. You got your position and rotation. Boom. Your entity is exactly where your player controller was. And everything you do to move on the player controller is going to move the entity around. Okay? You see how cool that is? And then all you have to do is edit your code in one place, and it's edited once. This is the proper design pattern. This is the proper design pattern for this. Let's see what roughly timestamp this is so I can write it down. 23, so this is about 18. I want to ramble. 18 minute. Why is it? I feel like it's not fully there. Transform. That's the problem. I think it's not. Yeah, left is 0. Anyway, let's get this bigger, a little bigger. I'm Italian. I talk with my hands. It's an old joke. How do you get an Italian to shut up? You tie his hand behind his back, and that's not racist. Talking about like cultures, you have to have stereotypes is just a cultural description of the culture. It's not racist. Italians talk with their hands. Canadians like hockey. if you can't say it's the Canadian racist. You know, people like today are like so like spasmatron listening to the news and stuff that they'll think like talking about a group of people is racist. But Italians talk with their hands. Get used to it. Anyway, and also, but I don't think with my brain because I completely forgot what was. Oh, we're going back to player controller. So I'm trying to find out in my player controller where I wired it up. Like the simplest way of doing this, like I said, the simplest way is just positional. You put your position and you copy it. But that's not the best way of doing it. The best way, it's a little bit trickier. Because like if you put like imagine if you put position, you just force the position. You've done like if you've done stuff and you're advanced enough to like go use Unity dots. You've used game objects and you've tried to force a position and then like a collision happens. One bounces off and this one's kind of like just going through. It's like I don't care. This is where I'm at. This is where I stay. I don't care about that collision. Like you lose collision data. In collision physics, when you force positions, you start forcing positions, you lose your physics stuff. So you have to figure out a way of having this entity still interact with physics type of thing. And I'm going to try and figure out how I did it, you know, to let you know. This is good stuff. This is beef. This is like I won't have the whole easy tutorial like well done until later. But like see what there's fizz. So it's with fizz. Do you use fizz for anything? Oh, I'm looking for linear. Linear. If I do I even do it? Okay, so I don't set it here. I'm gonna try and see how the player. Let's look in the game and see what my player entity is. Okay, I want to see what my player entity even is. Oh god. Oh man. Oh man. Whew. I'm going through some really rough times this year. Oh. Fighting off a little bit of a neuropathy. I'd be playing a little bit of League right now, but like actually, I kind of like lost my reflexes today. First time in some 40 some years. I think I might have did enough nerve damage to like not have reflexes, but I don't cry for me. I cry for the no one. Don't worry about it. Like I said, long story short, like I just praise God, you know. Let him have. I had my 40 years of gaming, you know. And I'll just go into coding and maybe play some cards, or maybe he'll give me back my reflexes. But okay. So anyway, I actually am not moving. So, so if you would think, if we think back to the old problem, like why am I not moving? Because I probably commented out like the physics velocity. So let's just uncommented stuff out and see if it's like let's be linear somewhere. Linear, debug linear, fly linear impulse. Impulse linear. RB velocity. That would be actually good. So this looks good. This looks like what we're looking at. Angular. No, it's not exactly that. Like I said, it's it's definitely one of these linear. Well, I'm sure if I put one of these in here. Angular local. So I'm looking for set component data. Okay, so we'll just look for that. It's one of these things that's set component data, I think. I'm not really sure I put it right. You know, it might not even be in this file, but like set component, game object type, player entity. You know what? This might be where we're at. Huh. Let's go here. Let's see here over here. This breakpoint. Guys, I'm just trying to figure out where I put the code at. I mean, like, there's lots of code. You don't ever have to remember all your code does. You just have to remember how to get back to it. Sometimes you have to search for like the things you remember, and then it'll all come back to you as you start reading it. It's like a book. Like your search term can just be like an index to look for a page. Like you used to have the back. Well, I think it's a table of contents. No, table of contents is the front. The index is the back. So let's see if it breaks points there. It's not breakpoint there. Oh, build errors. What the heck? What the heck? Let's just see here. Oh, I didn't attach Unity. There you go. Build or I don't need build. What the? Excuse me. So I think I have to go here. What happens? I think what happens sometimes it like loses track of reality, right? You know. have to go to like if your thing loses thing, I'm sure all you know this by now. You have to go to preferences and hit regenerate progress files. This happens so often that like I have to put it down like right here. It's like a constant like remembrance. Okay, that's good. Now let's go back to here. See if we can attach any. Okay, now it's happy. Yeah, okay, there we go. Now I'll debug. Then we're running. I think I might hit pause too. If you code all day, the amount of compile time you have will make you like a boss. You can be like Bruce Lee Part 3, because you know Brandon Lee got taken out same way Alec Baldwin did, took someone out. I don't think any of that was an accident, but I mean I don't know about Alec Baldwin, but I don't think Brandon was an accident. But you know that's that right there. That's just a wild guess. I don't know. You know, people could have wild guess. So it's probably hitting something somewhere along here. I have to disable all breakpoints. So what happens right here is like you just have to disable all breakpoints sometimes. Delete all breakpoints. Yeah, yeah. So I'll tell you that's what was going on there. That there. I think it might be on pause. Control P. Okay, we have issues. Okay. Test Unity. What time is it? 5:50. Okay, so there it is. It's game type 10, and 10 is the game type 10 is my my DOTS ECS, right? So like I said, you have to be able to differentiate your normal gameplay from your dots. A good way to do it is just an integer of what game type you're on. Player might not even know the difference. You implement DOTS ECS pretty well enough, they won't know they're going from a GameObject game to a DOTS ECS game in the same game, because they think it's impossible. They tell you just to make new games and stuff. I'm telling you, you don't have to. I'm telling you, just take your old game, keep your player controller. Okay, so here we go. So here, so it changed the rotation. Got the rotation. Set component value for rotation. Oof, 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 oof. So, add. Does it only play this once? This might be just a start out. No, it's doing everything. Ant rot. So what I'm doing is I'm getting the entity. So here we go. This is the meat and potatoes. You grab the rotation, like you know, like a rotate. You need to transform rotation. This is a mono behavior I'm in. This is the controls. My controls is a mono behavior. I am interfacing with the entity, which is entity manager, and I'm getting my player entity, and I'm getting its rotation, and I'm sticking in this. Okay. Then what happens is my game object gets multiplied by this. Okay. And put the rotation, and then we rotate it, right? Boom, boom. I don't think see my and I think what I do is I just give it thrust, right? I don't have to give it, since I'm a spaceship game, and like right now, all you need to do is thrust. Is so what happens is it takes that thrust and it applies it, you know, onto the thing. So like if you're in a collision, right? So if your entity's in a collision, you know, because I don't have colliders on my game object, right? All my colliders are invisible. My game object's invisible. This is very complicated stuff. Like I don't expect anybody to get this, but I mean, there's a couple people that are gonna be like, "Oh my god," and they'll start glimmering hope, and they might even tell you how to do this, right? But so like long story short, like I said, the simplest way of doing this the proper game object to entity, so you don't have to make a whole new game. The basic idea is you keep your player controller, don't change it at all. You just add a couple hooks, like right there, where I get the rotation of the entity, and I apply it. Okay, well, no, that's a complicated way. The short way, like the fast way that start out with ideas, you know, you have your position, you have your uh, you have your position, you have your velocity, and you move your player like moves the entity around, and then you get everything running like that. But this is the complicated version, right? So what I'm doing is I'm grabbing the entity. When you load in, okay, when you load in into the entity world, it'll grab your game object data and make an entity there. So you have the position and velocity. You don't have to worry about collision because it's just instantiating it essentially, right? So you instantiate it into the entity world. Okay, and then it's there, right? But then as you move it around and you change it around, then like you can grab like I'm gonna be rotating it inside my game object based from the rotation I have, right? But at the same time, the rotation I have comes from the entity, right? Each cycle, right? It's coming through a cycle. I grab my so game object loads. You load, let's say like this rotation. You're loading this rotation. I'm a compass, right? I'm like going left, right, left, north, upstairs, downstairs. You know, I'm saying I'm a compass. I'm just saying angle. Okay, robot. Okay, I'm an angle, right? So your player comes loads into the game. Boom, he's loaded into the game, right? Your game object. You've already done this. You've made a game object, and then you like instantiate your entity somehow, and it's not easy. But I'll make it easy when I show you things. So you instantiate your entity. So now you have an entity standing right where your game object's at, and then you said game object. Turn your rendering off, turn your collision off. Okay, so now you have just this entity here and a game object that's like exactly the same way on top of it. And by the way, I'll put my arms down now because it's kind of tiresome. But so you have a game object and a player at the same place, right? Game object, player in the same place. I'll be lazy. Game object, player, stay. Got this gun. Boom. Get this player, your game object, player in the same place, right? So what do you do now, right? Well, how do I connect them? How do I have them interact with each other? Like I told you, the old way, the easy way to conceptualize this is like if my game object moves over here, my entity just takes X, Y, Z position, and you know the rotational, basically X, Y, Z almost in the same way. And you know, boom, Euler, you know, it's just boom. Like I have a game object underneath. You don't see the game object. You just look at the entity, but it's the same thing, right? But the problem is you collide with something, you know, it's gonna be bad, right? Once again, it's complicated just to think about the basics, okay? But if you can think about the basics, you can understand how powerful it is that you don't have to recode your player controller twice. So we'll go through the basics. We're not doing it here. The basics is, okay, you have your player controller. You've already done this. You have your game object. You've already done this. Now, I'm a game object with a gun, right? Game object with a gun, and I'm just standing here, and my angle of my gun is this angle, right? So zip, I'm instantiated as a game object. All right, and then your player controller goes down, plays a game, you blow up Doom stuff, right? You want to make an entity game version of Doom, right? So you take your game object, don't change anything. He loads up, you instantiate, he's there. Okay. Then from the instantiation, you go, okay, one entity mode on, like maybe level 101 or something. You know, you add another level. This is expanded level 101. Okay, we're on level 101. Player doesn't know you've even changed anything behind, but you've actually changed the full fundamental code. So what happens there? Player loads in just like normal, game object, boom. Then you instantiate the entity, right? And they're on top of each other. Entities and game objects don't interact unless you like lock them with numbers, which we're going to do. So you've instantiated your player like you'd always do. It's game object, boom. Then you make it into an entity, boom. It's on top of each other. Then you just unrender your game object and make it so it can't collide, boom. You can imagine that. Then every time you move in your mono behavior, you know, mine's called controls. In your mono behavior, as you do your normal moving around the game object, you just simply set the entity position and angle the same way. Boom. There you go. Right in the very basic idea that you're now controlling an entity with the player controller, right? So I just want you to get the basic idea. We're not going to do that because it hoses the collision detection system completely. You can't just force position to be forced. Because I imagine if you collide with something, you know, you have an asteroid and a ship, and it would be like, boom, and the ship would go off like this or like spin around. That's what the collision detection, collision physics or whatever Unity does. It's really awesome. It's really cool. And you don't want to do that. So if you were forcing position, you'd be like, and then maybe it's like this might bounce off, and you might just keep going forward. Like it'll be like dumb. It won't be like, you know, like cool stuff. So what I'm doing, instead of just forcing the position, instead of just forcing my entity on top of the position, what I'm doing is I load my, like let's say I load my spaceship in. I load my spaceship in. I do just what I said before. I make my entity off of it. Then I make my spaceship game object not render and have no collision on it, right? Okay. Then what I do is for every frame now that I'm loaded in, I take the entity's rotation. I take the entity's rotation. I'm grabbing the entity's rotation right here. This is like basically all this does is grabbing the entity's rotation and putting in the player object into like say we have this rotation. It's the same thing. It's the same. It's Unity transforms rotation, and you're getting it off the player model okay, by getting off the rotation data. So it's similar. It's the same data structure, but you're getting it from entity. Now you have it in your game object, in your mono behavior. So you now have entity data in your mono behavior, and it's beautiful. I hope they never change it because this is really, really powerful, and you just listen to how it works. So now that we've got entities rotation, and we just, we got the int value and this value, and then like we are now we now just rotate it. Like this is how I rotate it in thing. I take the value and I adjust it. So like I rotate a little bit, we're like rotating it, So like my ship's here and like we're gonna bank it. So what I do is I change that. Now the entity is changed, right? Next time I load up the player objects, I grab it and I keep changing. Like so the game object reads in the entity, then you process it through your controls that your design patterns. You never want to recode something twice. So you do through your player controller that doesn't really have to change except for these hooks where you grab in the entity data and then you feed out the entity data. And then, so it's basically just the same thing as what I explained earlier. Where like, I hope if you can't understand what I'm saying, you just stay away from dots, right? So what you do is you load in your own game object, boom, you instantiate it, boom. Everybody's done this. You made your game. Some people have done that, but you have your game object, and he's there, and then you turn them into entity. You don't have to know how to do that. Okay, it's tough to turn game objects into entities. I'm gonna do a whole series. Actually, one video where you just make it easy, and then I'll do a series as people ask questions because it's tough to understand, but it's super easy to do once you got it right. So you probably are like, your brain's probably like going, wow, I can take my old game that I spent like 1,000 hours on, like 5 years, and just slap some Unity dots on it. Yes, you can. You will not be able to use your enemy code, because like your enemy code has to be done in dots, because you only have. Explain why this works. Yes, you could do the same thing on all your enemies, right? But you would not be using dots, okay? Because like, let's not go there. But I'm just going to tell you straight up, your enemy code has to be done in dots, okay? Because that's the way you get your processing power and stuff like this. There's only one player, right? You only have one player, so you can do your player in this. Okay. So let's rehash. The general idea is you log in, boom, you're aiming your gun, okay, or you're holding your spaceship's there. We'll just do a spaceship, okay. Your spaceship's here, and it's a game object. Then you turn it into an entity. You have an entity and game object there. Then you unrender the game object. Then you take off the collision of your game object. Then all you have to do is an entity. Then the entity mimics where the game object goes. And the easiest way to start understanding, conceptualizing it is just position and angle. And I would recommend even just coding the position angle and just to fly it around and be, oh, cool, it can collide with some stuff and it doesn't look really good, but it goes there. But then when you want to get fancified, we're doing the fancified. Here's the process. I might even have to. I'll just explain it. So this is a mono behavior. You're controlling this in a mono behavior. We are not. Oh man, where did I lose it? I think a lot of people ask that. When did I lose it? Oh, there it was. Okay. So as you in your player control, you obviously have to understand the game mode is set to entity. So you're on entity level, and I don't care how you do it. I'm just setting my indexes. Whatever like type it is. Like I think like one type is like your base, one's like starfighting, one's fleet fighting. Different game types. You know how to do that. It's indexing, whatever. But we're going from we're going for like more complicated than just like setting your position and setting the angle off the game object. We're literally going to the process goes like this. After you create the entity, every time you cycle through, you read the entity's data. Where is the entity's position and velocity? So like, let's say like you're here, and then like, it hit an asteroid, but it's over here. So your game object's here. If you set the game objects, if you force the entity's position and velocity and angle, it would bring back here. But you don't want, you hit an asteroid. You want to be bouncing off doing that crazy collision stuff. So what you do is, all right, okay, I'm gonna read the entity. So the game object reads entity. Then you control the entity. Okay. Let me say. So the game object. I don't think I'm doing this right. Let's just go back through it. So we want the entity to be controlled by the game object, but we want the game object to be related to the entity. So because like I said, normally the game object Take a breathe. Normally the game object can just translate directly to the entity, right? This is my position, this is my angle, and then see this you're looking at an entity, not a game object. The game object underneath of it, the entity's there. But then it hits an asteroid, boom. If you get it, if the game controller's forcing the position, it hits an asteroid, instead of going off like this, it'll just be like, keep going back and forth. Asteroid. I don't care. I'm just set my position velocity. I'm not affected by the physics, right? But if instead of the game object always just forcing the entity's position and velocity, if the game object first reads where the entity is and then adjusts it and sends it back, then the entity is related to the game object and the game object is related to the entity. Okay, so you'd be like boom, 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 and then like an asteroid comes hits, boom. This is more than one frame. I'm just exaggerating, right? So this would be the entity, but your game object's back here, right? So when you're reading in, it'll be like, oh, it won't even know. It'll be like, okay, so now we'll reset it back up to here. So like we're doing like this. If no collision, like we're like here, the entity's here. We reset off of here. We haven't moved the game object, right? Game object entity, they're like in hand, right? But this is over here, like from a collision. Then boom, your game object's back up there because you read in the location entity. Then the game object moves a little bit, and then the entity gets pulled along. So it's ebb and flow. It's like read in, read out. Like it comes in and goes out. It works. This straight up works. This is how this. So you'll be affected by collision. And sometimes sometimes you don't want to be like too distracted by collisions. Well, let's not get too complicated. You always want to keep it like this. That was already complicated enough. So let's see how we can set our velocity. So game disable rendering. Camp out rotation. So we want to just want the velocity, right? So let's look for so this is how we do it. Velocity, player entity, set component data, physics. Let's look for look at entity manager. We'll need the entity manager. So I'm just trying to find out where I set it because I disabled it. You're stuck in place and you can't move around for some reason. Player entity. That's a rotation. Rotation. Physics velocity. Translation. RB position. If the player entity is not equal to the entity null. I don't know where I set the velocity at, to be honest. So I want to do it right. Not sure why I do this. This is my original set, right? So this is probably where I set. Oh, I'm trying to fire a laser. Okay, so I need the position of the entity to fire a laser, and I haven't done that yet. I've done it. Fired a laser. I'm just trying to see where I'm at. My code. How you do it? Find your code. Rotation. Translation. Velocity. Sure. So there, PV. So I get physics velocity. Where's this at? Game type 10. Fixed updates. This is a fixed update. It's pretty reasonable. Time 10. Physics velocity. PV. It goes entity manager velocities. PV. And then does PV use for anything? RB velocity goes PV linear. I don't know if this will work. I don't know where. I definitely want to be grabbing the entities. Well, let's just see if I get the physical velocity. Probably be 0, right? Let's do it. Let's go here. Oh, it's currently running. Attach. Oh, you know what I forgot? The reason I'm having problems with debugging, you have to tab and stop and start with debugging unless you set this one thing. But anyway, I'm gonna exercise. Right now, I'm trying to find the locker where, like, basically the idea is I want to read in its current velocity, adjust it, and send it out to velocity. So that's only two things you do. You read in the entity's velocity, you adjust a little bit in player controller like you normally do, and then you send it back out. It's very simple. You do it for both velocity and position. I mean, position and rotation, but I'm doing it for velocity and position. I'm doing it for like angle and velocity because I don't even have position in this. I don't want to like force that right now. Let's get this here. I think I have to boo. I think I go this and do I'm putting this in debug. So once you put in this debug mode, then it's more happy when you do that. So let's run it. It's debugging. It's easier when you're in debug mode. And I mean you can do debugging without debug mode in the hierarchy over there, but this is makes it easier. Does it sound super complicated? It is. Okay. But I'm gonna make it easy in the next one. People who know what they're talking about, like have been doing a little bit of this, what kind of know what's going on. So let's see what my PV looks like. I just want to see what PV looks like. PV should be zeros, right? Bunch of zeros. It's zeros. Angular, linear. Forget it. F8, F8. Game type's 10. Okay. So I'm just gonna keep this. I'm gonna just hit go. I wonder if I can like Oh, it doesn't show you here. I'm gonna break it up here. Yeah, so it's not making. I'm not going anywhere. Since, like I said, we're not. The player controller sends it and it comes back, but I'm just reading it in. So yeah. So let's just if I do look for some more physics. Let's see where I set it. There's a couple places I set it. There's a couple. There's different ones have different things. Set angular velocity. Okay. I think this is where I think this might be where I do it. So now I'm reading in my velocity. I could probably get a good idea of. Okay. So close it out. I have my play on Control O, so I had one to stop it, one to go. I wish there was a way to like. I mean, this is just a pet thing for me. I wish there was a way you could like if you double tap Control O while it's like loading, like sure it'll stop it, but like if it hasn't loaded, you hasn't actually played in like if your simulation hasn't been playing for like a second or something, you shouldn't just like stop right now because like right now I'm like is it loading or not? Like I can't tell like right it's I guess you can by like dragging it. And so it's right now it's like in like a limbo. Where is it? Am I like locked up in debug mode? No. Okay. I tried to drag that. Yeah, so it didn't play. So like if I was to do that, I would just spam like play like. But if you hit it 3 times, they'll like stop, play, stop, and then your code won't run right. So like you have to I posted about online today. Right back. I'll be there in a sec. shoes on. I mean socks on. I need my old socks. I was walking around outside. It got a little wet, you know. And now that my feet are wet, I'm gonna dry them off. Hope your feet are getting a little wet in terms of coding or understanding some very complicated principles. Alright, so I have no idea what I was doing there. Okay, so what I do is like game object takes the thing in, then you put that out. So, oh, I know what I want to do. I want to see if I can see if this goes to. You know, I'll be able to tell if I'm going forward. So I'll see if I can go forward. So if I go forward, yeah, look, I'm going forward, dude. Check it out. I'm going forward. So we know we're going forward. Now attach Unity. See, like I'm passing my velocity that I got from the let's see, PV. See here, F6. Yeah, so here, check it out. We do got the velocity. We got linear velocity there. Cool. So I'll go through the cycle again. Okay, um, so the cycle. I'm not even getting anything done, Mom. I'm explaining what's going on as I figure out where I'm. Like I wanted to get that done, so I really needed that for myself. I need to figure it out myself. So explaining to you is no big deal. So like to proper design pattern. Proper design pattern for game player controller. Repurpose. Have levels in same game that use entities. 1. Make the entity. 2. 0. Keep same game controller. Have a way of knowing in entity mode. Number 1, make then 1, make it like an int. Keep same controller. In a level. 0, keep entity controller. 1, game type equals like 10 or something. To make an entity. 3. I need lots of water fast. Probably get some Gatorade after this. This is good, probably a good time to stop a little bit. Get from the water. Water. I need water. I'm just chugging it. Probably it right here. Do you know play stuff? The set the velocity angle of GameObject into the entity back into the entity. So like you can see what's going on, really, right? You're really just taking like what the entity changed, then you're changing it on there, and then be in the back. Okay, so that you don't violate it. If you set, do not set position unless like check it out. Unless like if you want collisions working. Oh man, my hands hurt, dude. I'm so. Excuse me. Don't mind me. I'm just belly aching a little bit. Oh, I probably just eat more calcium. Bring in. Anyway, so there you go. That's it. There you go. And you can use that for your own games, and then you have to recode all your stuff in DOTS. But that's long story short. That's kind of that's a little lesson there. I'm gonna go get some food in me because my body needs food, and there you go. God bless.